Hello guys, I am Arvind and in this lecture I am going to discuss function in C programming. So what we have done so far is introduction to function, need of function, types of functions, parts of functions and categories of the function. So in this lecture I am going to implement the categories of the function with the help of a C program, and basically that program will be of addition of two numbers. So let's open up the turbo C++ compiler and I will implement all the categories of the function with the help of addition of two numbers. So guys, now we are calculating the sum of two numbers using function with no parameters and no return value. So we can say this program belongs to the category 1. So we have declared a function sum and the return type of this function is void and there is no parameter inside this function sum. And now in this main function, first of all we have called clrscr to clear up the console, and now we are calling sum function, and obviously there is no parameter declared in this function sum, so we will not pass any arguments to this sum function. So after the calling of sum function, control will be transferred to the sum function's definition. So here it is. This is the function definition of this sum function. So here we have declared three variables a, b and s, and now we are taking input for two numbers and that numbers will be stored to a and b, and then we can calculate the sum of two numbers and that will be assigned to s, and now we can print this sum of two numbers in s. So now if you run this code, I will get the output like this. So now it is requesting for two integer numbers. So let's enter the two numbers. So first number is let's say 10 and the second number is let's say 45 and the sum is 55. So this is the output of this program, and you can calculate the sum of any two numbers with the help of this function. And this function, or we can say this program, is basically belongs to the category 1. I hope it is clear to all of you. So guys, now we are trying to find out the sum of two numbers using function with no parameters but with a return value. So we have declared a function sum here, and the return type of this function is integer and there is no parameter inside this function. So it means our sum function will return integer value. Now in the main function we have declared a variable r, and that is of integer type, and this variable r will hold the returned value by the sum function, and obviously this r will hold the sum of the two numbers, and then we can print this r by this print statement. And now this is the definition of sum function, and obviously the return type of function declaration and the function definition must be same. So when we are calling this sum function, all the statements of this main function will be temporarily suspended, and then control will be transferred to the definition of this function sum. And here we are taking input for two numbers and that will be assigned to a and b, and then we can calculate the sum of two numbers and that sum will be assigned to s, and then we can return this sum by using return statement to the main function. Obviously the main is a calling function and the sum is called function, so the called function will return the value to the calling function, and this returned value will be assigned to r, and then we can calculate the sum of these two numbers. Now if I run this code, I will get the output like this. So basically it is requesting for two integer numbers. So now I am entering 23 and let's say 46, and now the output is 69. We can calculate the sum of two numbers by using this category. So guys, in this program we are trying to find out the sum of two numbers using function with parameters but without return value. So we can say this program belongs to the category 3. So we have declared a function sum, and obviously the return type of this function sum will be void because we do not want to return any value. and there are two parameters in this function. So basically we are passing the data type of two numbers, and both the numbers will be of integer type. So we have passed data type for both the numbers, and now in the main function we have declared two variables. So the value of these two variables will be passed to the sum function as a argument. So here we have taken the input for a and b using scanf function from the user, and now we are passing the values of a and b to the sum function. And when we call this sum function, the control will be transferred to the function definition of this sum function, and here the value of a will be passed to the x and the value of b will be passed to the y. So this process is basically called call by value, because we are passing the values. So here we got the another variable as, so we can calculate the sum of x and y, and that will be stored to s. Now we can print the sum of these two variables by this print function. So now if I run this code, I will get the output like this. So now it is requesting for two numbers. So let's say I am entering 5 and let's say 7, and it will give you the sum 12. So I hope it is clear to you. So in this function there is no return type, but we have passed two parameters here, and both the parameters are of integer type because we want to add two numbers of integer type. So I hope it is clear to you. So guys, this is an example of fourth category, and in this category we are trying to get the sum of two numbers using function with parameters and with the return value. So guys, we have declared a function sum, and the return type of this function sum is an integer. So this sum function will return an integer value, and we have passed two parameters as integers because we want to add two numbers of integer type. That's why we have passed two data type for two variables as integer. And now in main function we have declared three variables a, b and r. The values of a and b will be passed to this function sum. So we have taken input from the keyboard for a and b, and the values of a and b will be passed to this function as a argument, and the variable r will hold the sum of these two variables. So when we call this function sum, so the value of a will be passed to x and the value of b will be passed to y, and this process is called call by value. So here in this definition we have taken another variable s and then calculate the sum of x and y, and that will be stored to s, and then we can return the s from this function definition, and that will be stored to r, and then we can print the sum of these two variables by this print function. So now if I run this code, so it is requesting for two integer numbers. So let me enter two numbers. So first number is let's say 5 and second number is let's say 12. So now the sum is 17. So I hope it is clear to everyone, and thank you so much guys for watching this video. Just in case you liked it, do not forget to like and subscribe. I will see you then in the next video.